What's going on, everybody? So I am back today to talk about a new release film that has not been getting very good reviews. Sometimes I'll just jump in and watch some movies on a whim to just give it a shot. There are times in life where people are incredibly hard on films and can rip things to shreds, and that sometimes it's not warranted, but sometimes it's very warranted. And this was probably the worst movie I've watched the entire year, and I doubt that there's going to be anything I watch that's worse than this movie. The film I'm going to be talking about today is the 2022 remake of Stephen King's Firestarter. Firestarter is directed by Keith Thomas. A girl with extraordinary pyrokinetic powers fights to protect her family and herself from sinister forces that seek to capture and control her. First off, the question I want to ask is, why remake this now? I'm guessing the only reason why this happened is because filmmakers continue to remake Stephen King properties, and Stephen King is like all over the place. Stephen King's got a very immense body of work, and I know that there's a lot of people who love horror films, are invested in his material and want to see it paid due diligence, I suppose. And I don't remember much about the original Firestarter. I watched it a few times when I was a kid. I remember the scenes with Drew Barrymore using her powers, but as far as like general plot, I didn't re-watch it before this because I just didn't really care. I don't remember it being anything like super spectacular, and so it was weird to me to see a product like that seemingly doesn't have a huge fan base for a production studio to decide, hey, it's time to remake this film. And this movie is just downright terrible. I mean, there's not even really much that I can say positive about it other than somehow these people managed to recruit John Carpenter to do the score for this movie, and the score is phenomenal. But when you're attaching music to material that means absolutely nothing, and it's just like completely and totally pointless, it doesn't really do much for you. In this story, you have this young girl who lives with her parents. The father's played by Zac Efron. He's one of the main characters throughout the film. And him and his wife are shown when they were young and in college, went to this thing where they were experimented on. It's not really delved very heavily into, and they ended up getting psychic powers. Zac Efron can make people feel a certain way and manipulate them with his powers, and his wife has a similar ability. They have a child, and their child has the ability to set things on fire. It's shown really early on that she's like in a crib and she catches the nursery on fire, and they send her to regular school. They're trying to have her live a regular life, and of course the powers overtake her. She has a hard time controlling it, and things just kind of spiral out of control to where they're on the run. This government organization who's trying to kidnap these people because they want to experiment on them and figure out like how to probably use it for warfare. You don't really get the reason why they're really doing this other than like, we created these people, let's get them off the street, but we're going to take them in here. It's just really stupid. My biggest problem with this is the film doesn't really have any good character development, and also the scenes just feel so chaotic as far as jumping from plot point to plot point to where none of it matters. I mean, you're given like this sort of sweet family dynamic at the beginning that's really kind of shattered because the girl accidentally sets her mom on fire and then looks at Zac Efron's character and says, "It was supposed to be you." And it's like, oh great. And the performances are really bad. You know, Zac Efron's one of those people that he started his career with the Disney Channel, and he's done some movies that I've actually enjoyed his performances in. He is not good in this movie at all. It feels like he's just reading off of a piece of paper. There's virtually no emotion in his dialogue delivery. The little girl is also not good whatsoever. I really didn't find anyone in this film to be an exceptional actor by any means. They're all kind of like hammy. That takes away from the movie too, when it feels like you're watching a sci-fi original film. And I mean, I've watched some films made for sci-fi recently that were actually really well directed and had a purpose, and this movie just felt like a big budget waste of time. One of the things that cracks me up is the editing in this movie is absolutely horrendous. There's a scene early on in the movie where Zac Efron's talking to his wife, and they're in like this dining room space together, and I swear to Christ, they used like 70 camera angles. It was like, rather than your typical shot reverse shot, it was like cut here in the room, here in the room, here in the room, here in the room, and it was just like the cinematographer set the camera up wherever he wanted to and was like, we're gonna have 60,000 angles of these two people just talking. And it's not like there's an action sequence going on or any real reason to reveal the size of the room. It's just inept filmmaking. And it looked stupid and it made me laugh. There's so many wild moments in this movie. There's like a moment where the girl is playing with a cat and the cat accidentally like scratches her. And so she sets the cat on fire and it's not dead. It's like screaming in pain. And Zac Efron comes up and says, you know, the part of these powers that's difficult is we have to put these people out of their misery. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? And that comes into play like 3 different times. And it's just really weird. The scale of this movie is really small. It felt like they used all their budget on the cheesy fire visual effects. And like, as far as locations, you have the government facility, their house, and then when Zac Efron and his daughter end up going on the run from this organization, they run into this guy who picks him up in a truck and takes him to his farmhouse, and that's like half the movie is them on this farmhouse with this character who it's like, oh, you care for him because his wife was in an accident and she got hurt, and he just seems like a clueless old man, and it just was not good. And I can continue to go on about the ineptness of the film, but like, I've spoke on this before. I talk a lot about horror remakes and reboots because I really love the horror genre, and I think there's always a rhyme and a reason if people can do it the correct way. So you have films like Suspiria or the Evil Dead remake or the 2012 Maniac remake that take source material, make it their own, and they do unique things with it, and there's a vision for it and a reason for it. When I ended this movie, I was just kind of like, what did I sit through? An hour and a half of nothing. It's not about a daughter bonding with her family. It's not about harnessing your powers to discover who you are and use that for your purpose. It's just kind of characters interacting with each other to do a thing, and we should like it because it's Stephen King. And yeah, it's not good. I would avoid this at all costs. I talked about a couple of really bad movies recently, like The Twin and The Cellar, that both have some laugh out loud moments on Shudder that made it worth your time to watch, but this movie isn't even worth that. There's like not even enough to make it like campy funny. It's just really bad. So have you seen Firestarter? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this was the worst movie of the year, and I doubt that anything I watch is going to be as bad as this. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I really appreciate everyone who's recently subscribed to the channel. It means a lot to me. I'm getting a lot of comments and interactions, and it means the world to me that you guys take the time to watch my material and care about what I have to say. It's just a really fun platform to be a part of, and I look forward to continue to doing it in the future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.